Hey A&Pers, this is Dr. Jones checking in. This is A&P 1, Lab Test 2, Video 12. We're on page 20, which in mine is the appendicular skeleton, and we are on the upper limb. So, name this bone. This bone is the humerus. What are the structures of this bone? Head, deltoid tuberosity. Let's see, let's get it where you can see the whole thing. Same side of the head, so that's medial epicondyle, lateral epicondyle. Laterally we have the capitulum. Medially is the trochlea, little indent on the front, coronoid fossa, great big indent on the back, olecranon fossa. I did all my schooling in Kansas City, and there's a far southwest suburb of Kansas City called Olathe. And in Olathe at the time there was a used car lot, and of course they wanted everyone to drive all the way down to Olathe to buy their cars. And so their tagline on the radio was, "Come on down to Olathe." And so I always think, "Oh, Olecranon," because, you know, radio advertising. There you go. So that's the olecranon fossa. Okay, so now we need to learn these two bones. This bone has a U in it, and that U is for ulna. The U is for ulna. Okay. Here's the ulna. We will learn some of these structures here in a second. And then this bone has a circle. And how do you measure half the diameter of a circle from the middle to the side? That is a radius. This bone is called the radius, and it has a circle. Okay, so now let's learn the parts of the ulna. This notch right here articulates with the trochlea. So this is the trochlear notch. So the U right there is the trochlear notch, and here's how it fits on the trochlea. So you can see this little bit in the front sticks into the coronoid fossa. So this little bit in the front of the U is called the coronoid process. Coronoid process fits in the coronoid fossa. And then this great big thing on the back, which is your elbow, the bump here that is your elbow. And this is your olecranon. Olecranon. And you can go olecranon process on this, or just call it the olecranon. And it articulates with the olecranon fossa. Olecranon goes into the olecranon fossa. Your elbow joint is a hinge joint. It flexes and it extends. Flex, extend. Flex, extend. Okay. And now we also need to know the radial notch. The radial notch is tricky. It's this little bit right here, off to the side. Sometimes people think it's right here. And honestly, this one, like, you can't see it until you've been shown it. It's just weird. And so what articulates with the radial notch? Well, the head of the radius goes right there, and it does rotate. It does rotate. Head of the radius rotates in the radial notch. And then we've got one distal structure, and that's the styloid process, and it's like a stylus, like you would write with on your pad. The styloid process, a little skinny bit. Okay. Name the bone with the U. U for ulna. And the U is the trochlear notch, this little tooth in front of it. Coronoid process. This great big lump in the back is the olecranon, and that little smooth indent there is the radial notch. Oops, gotta look at it to make it work right. And then the one distal structure is the styloid process. Excellent. And then now name the bone. This is the radius, and this is the head. Skinny part under the head is always a neck. And this one is going to be the radial tuberosity, this bump here. And then the only other thing we have is the one distal structure, and the distal structure here is the styloid process. Not to be confused with the distal structure on the ulna, which is the styloid process. So if they point at this on the test, all you have to put is styloid process. And if they point at this on the test, all you have to put is styloid process, okay? So how does this all work together? The head of the radius articulates with the capitulum. So it rotates there and flexes and extends. So let's put it all together so you can get a little bit. So it goes into the radial notch with the capitulum, and that's how it flexes and extends. And now to move your hand down like that. We haven't learned that term yet, but the radius actually rotates over the ulna like an X. So we'll learn those terms in lecture. And that's how you flex. So your arm has one bone, your forearm has two bones, and we'll find that same pattern in the leg with the much larger bones. Of the leg. So let's compare that to the size of the arm bones. The arm bones are much shorter than the leg bones. So here's the femur, which looks like a bone, right? That's your general picture of a bone is a femur. And then here is your tibia and your fibula. So this is your thigh bone and your two leg bones. And here's your arm bone and your two forearm bones. Okay, we will start back up with page 21 and the bones of the hand in the next video. I just want to make sure you had a sense of the scale of the difference between the arm bones. Let's see if we line these all up. Can we get a picture of the length of these bones, comparatively speaking? Line them all up with the top of the screen here. There you go. So there's definitely a difference in the lengths on these bones. Okay, thank you as always for tuning in. This has been A&P 1 Lab Test 2 Video 12, where we covered the ulna and the radius. We'll come back with the bones of the hand and wrist.